Good morning, dear students. I'm Bharti Kathuria Sehgal from the SD Vidya School, Ambala Cant. Today, we are going to start with the new chapter, Reproduction in Organisms. As you all are aware, reproduction is a biological process by which new individuals are produced by the pre-existing individuals, which are called the parents, and the new individual produced are called the offspring. Now, reproduction is a fundamental process, but it is not a life process because it is required for the continuity of species, but not for the survival of an individual. So let's begin with this chapter, reproduction in organisms. First thing that you will be studying in this chapter is about lifespan. Now, as you all know that every organism is born and will necessarily die. So the time period between the natural birth and the natural death is called lifespan. Lifespan is highly variable. Like here, you can see that an organism can have a lifespan of a day and it can even have of many years. But this does not depend upon their size. Now, reproduction, as we discussed, is the process in which organisms produce new organisms of the same kind. Reproduction is the essential process as it is responsible for the continuity of life on the earth. If any species has lost the power of reproduction, then it will be eliminated from the life. Extinction can occur by two factors, natural and anthropogenic. Natural factors which are present in the nature, and anthropogenic which are artificial, or we can say because of the human interference. Now, reproduction, as you all are aware, can be of two types, asexual and sexual. If there is only one single parent involved, it is called asexual reproduction. But if there are two parents involved, for the sake of convenience, we call them as male and female parent. So that kind of reproduction is called sexual mode of reproduction. In asexual mode of reproduction, there is no formation or fusion of gametes. But in the sexual mode of reproduction, there is formation as well as fusion of gametes. Asexual reproduction involves mitotic division, while the sexual reproduction involves meiosis. As we have discussed in class 11th about the differences between mitosis and meiosis, so you are aware that in the mitosis, a diploid parent gives rise to two diploid cells. While in the case of meiosis, a diploid parent cell will give rise to four haploid cells. Now, individuals in the case of asexual reproduction produced are genetically identical to the parent. So they are called clones. While in the case of sexual reproduction, the individuals show high degree of variation. That is, offsprings have high degree of variations and are different from their siblings as well as from their parents. Now, types of asexual reproduction. Now, as we've discussed, it is the mode of reproduction in which there is only one parent involved and there is no involvement of gamete production. The types of asexual reproduction are fission. Fission means breakdown. If one cell breaks down into two new daughter cells, it is called as binary fission. But if one cell divides into many new cells, it is called multiple fission. Next is budding, then spore formation, fragmentation and regeneration, and vegetative propagation. Now let's discuss about them one by one. Now, there are different types of asexual reproductive structures which are produced in the different modes of asexual reproduction. Like there can be motile microscopic zoospores, like in the case of Chlamydomonas, or there can be conidia which can be produced for asexual mode of reproduction in Penicillium, or there can be buds like in case of hydra, or there can be production of gemmules in the case of sponges. Now let's discuss about fission. As we discussed, binary fission, when the body of the organism divided into two offsprings or the two new individuals, two new daughter cells, it is called as binary fission. In several unicellular organisms, they reproduce by this mode of reproduction. Now this mode of reproduction, in this it may be irregular, longitudinal or transverse fission according to the plane of division. Like in the case of protists and bacteria, they divide by binary fission. Multiple fission, when the body of organism is divided into several offsprings, it is called multiple fission. The example is Plasmodium, the causative agent of malaria is an example which by which you can say that ये reproduce कर रहा है by the process of multiple fission. Next is sporulation. Now, sporulation in some of the organisms, sporulation is only a mode of survival. So, in unfavorable condition, amoeba like amoeba can and other some organisms can cover themselves by a wall and form a cyst. Now, this process is called encystation. On the return of the favorable condition, sorry, several